Let me ask you something. If you left your front door open every single night for a year, would you really be surprised if someone eventually walked in? That's what happens when businesses keep data long after they need it. Old data, forgotten backups, outdated spreadsheets, full of sensitive details. They become the open doors of your digital world. And that's why ISO 27001 gives us this Annex A control, Annex A 8.10 information deletion. Because protecting your business isn't just about what you keep, it's about what you let go of. Now, at the heart of ISO 27001 is one goal: to prevent unnecessary exposure of sensitive or confidential information. It's not just about legal compliance, it's about protecting your reputation. So what does this control actually expect? What is required? Well, it simply states that information stored in information systems, devices, or in other storage media shall be deleted when no longer required. Simple, right? But it's ignored all the time. Holding on to information for too long increases your storage costs, it clutters your systems, and worst of all, it amplifies your risk if there's ever a breach. We really are suffering from information obesity. We seem to hoard information just in case we need it in the future. Unfortunately, that just in future might turn around to kick us up the backside. Let me give you some examples. We worked with a fertility organization that had over 120,000 records spanning 30 years. Many were just, many of the pieces of information were just people who'd made an inquiry. Now, a data breach here wouldn't just be expensive, it could be emotionally devastating for those individuals. That's the kind of risk that no business should ever carry. Or how about another client that had over 50,000 people listed in its marketing lists? Now, they feared GDPR meant deleting it all, but we showed them how to clean it up properly, confirming who wanted to stay and who didn't. The list shrank to just over 20,000. Now, on the first glance of that, you might be saying, well, that's 30,000 people you've just lost from your marketing list. But you're missing the key point. It meant that we now had, or they had, 20,000 people who were more engaged. They were more ready to work with that particular organization, rather than just have 50,000 people and 30,000 of those who were just cluttering up the space. They could now see who they could market to, who they could have some serious, sensible conversations with. Less noise, more focused, total compliance, and increased revenue. All because we help them understand about the importance of deleting data. Or how about the company that we helped discover that they actually had 84 HR records, not a lot when you consider a small to medium organization, except those HR records, those 84 records, were in reference to a company that only had 30 members of staff. They had duplicate entries, they had ex-employees, they had outdated data, and every one was a potential privacy issue. Once they cleaned it up, they knew exactly what data they held, why they held it, and how long to keep it for. Now, each one of these examples shares a simple message. Old data isn't an asset, it's a liability. Just keep this in mind. This isn't optional. It's a legal and moral obligation. But let's just deal with the legal part of it first. Under laws like the GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation, and the UK Data Protection Act, and CCPA as well, You must only retain personal data for as long as is necessary. Now, it's up to you to define what necessary means, and it's going to be different depending upon your sector. Certainly within the legal sector, we know that you have to hold on to records and data for quite long periods of time because of court cases, because of class action that might come up many, many years after a particular hearing. So we recognize that you have to hold on to records for a long time. Certainly in other sectors, you will have to hold records for elongated periods. Just keep that word in mind, necessary. Is it necessary to hold that information? If it is, if you determine that it is, then that's fine. The Information Commissioner's Office or your supervisory authority, wherever you are, will just ask you that question. Why are you holding this data? Is it necessary? And before we move on, just simply saying because you want to make money out of people is not a good enough valid reason. It's necessary in terms of helping the data subject. Just remember that every unnecessary record or data point increases your exposure, it increases your risk. Every forgotten spreadsheet, every forgotten document is another unlocked window. And when a breach happens, it's not just the regulator that you'll have to answer to, it's your customers, your employees, and it's going to have an impact upon your reputation as well. So what is the auditor going to be looking for in relation to this particular control? Well, as ever, the auditor wants to look at this and see that you have control. They're not just looking for documents, they're looking for evidence of discipline, proof that you don't just delete data when it's convenient, or that you're hoarding it because you're not quite sure what data you've got and you're not sure what you should be getting rid of. They don't want to see it's a policy, they want to see it's a process, that you've really thought about this. So they're going to want to see things like an inventory of assets. Do you know what information you've got and where it lives? They're going to want to see within that inventory of assets some form of a ROPA, a record of processing activities. Do you track where that data is and who handles it and how much of it do you have? Go and ask those questions. They're going to want to see a data retention scheme as well. So you will define what is necessary. So you will have a simple spreadsheet that has all the various different types of data that you have, where it's held, and how long you're going to store it for. The auditor is going to want to see that you have some form of information labeling as well. Is that data sensitive? Is it financially sensitive, commercially sensitive? Is it internally protected? Is it personal data? What classification are you giving it? Is it confidential, internally protected, top secret, for your eyes only? If you're in the government and you've got James Bond considerations, what are you labeling that information? And that is very closely, of course, linked to your information classification, because your information classification is the mechanism by which you say, this is how we classify information and what we do with it. How do we store it? How do we protect it? How do we destroy it? And when do we destroy it? And when we're talking about the destruction of it, of course, we need to think about how you destroy it. So some process for the destruction of media. How is deletion actually conducted? And remember, media doesn't just mean physical media in terms of technical media. It also means archive boxes, papers and such. Do you have shredders? Do you have enough information that you would warrant a confidential waste bin, which is then shredded on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, either internally or externally? Is it incinerated? Who's doing that? Is it internal? What is the process for media destruction? You, of course, as you go through this process, the auditor is going to want to see that you've thought about any issues, any risks, any gaps, and they will end up on your risk register. Again, I like to point out the obvious here, but if you're not watching all of these videos, it needs to be mentioned again and again. Risks and issues need to be on a risk register. You need to have a risk register in place. Risk management is absolutely foundational to information security. And finally, the auditor is going to want to see that there is some form of awareness and training that is conducted so that people understand when they should be deleting data. And again, back to your information classification, how to delete that information as well. Just keep in mind that the auditor is looking for a process, not just some dusty old document that's sat on your shelf here. So what should you be doing? What practical things can you do right out the gate with this video? What should you be doing now? Well, go and review your asset inventory and your ROPA, your records of processing activities. Do you have one? If you don't, time to go and create one, because it's about identifying where your data is. How many records do you have? Who owns it? If you've never created an asset inventory or a ROPA, one very simple action, all you need to do is sit with a blank piece of paper. I personally prefer to use a pen and physical pen and paper. Draw yourself in the middle. Out around that, just identify all the various different functions in your business, in your organization. And this still works if you're a small business, because you're still head of finance, you're still the head of physical security, you're still the head of IT, head of HR. That's you if it's your own firm or your own business. Write down all the functions that you have. Then within those functions, identify all the systems that you use. Then within those systems, identify all the data that you store. As in, if it's HR, so you'll say, well, this is my HR function. In HR, we use a HR database to hold our employee data, people HR, breathe, that kind of thing. And what kind of information do you store within it? We have the name, address, telephone number, date of birth, marital status, gender, sickness and absence records, holiday records, training and their national insurance, banking details. You're starting to see now where all of this information starts to stack up within these databases. And then once you've identified all the different kinds of data that you hold, you then will say, well, how much data do we hold? This is the bit where it becomes maybe a little bit of a surprise to you, because you might ask the question, well, how many records do we hold within HR? And the answer might come back, oh, we've got 200 records. And yet you only employ 50, 60, 70 people. We've seen it in some organizations and some of our larger organizations where they employ 2, 3, even 5,000 people, that they have information in their HR database, which is going back years. And they've got 60, 70,000 records within their HR database. And the question has to be asked, is that necessary? Can we delete it? So start there. You can't protect what you don't understand. It's a repeating theme. So know what you have. Then define what's necessary. Work with your business, your legal team, and your DPO to determine what's necessary. The DPO, the Data Protection Officer, will give you an idea for what is absolutely necessary in your organization and the various different departments. But each function will have an idea. So if you speak to finance, they may say, well, we have to keep these records for tax purposes. Great, it's necessary. We keep that information. You'll speak to HR, and HR will say, well, for employment records and because of HR law, we have to keep these records for employment law purposes. Great, we keep that information. But do we need to keep everything? Do we need to keep the fact that an ex-employee attended a party 2 or 3 years ago and that their dietary requirements were vegan or vegetarian? Do we need that information? If not, let's get rid of it. It's bloatware. It's information obesity. Define what's necessary. And you can do all of that through your asset inventory and your ROPA. Document those retention rules as well. Add those rules to your classification scheme so that everyone knows how long each data type should be kept. And remember, finally to train and review. Make sure your team understands why deletion matters and regularly check that that process is still working. Just remember, data deletion isn't destruction, it's liberation. It's losing a few pounds to gain a few pounds in terms of saving on costs, time searching for files and documents and information, because you've got all of this information stored just in case we may need it in the future. It clears the clutter and reduces risk. And it focuses your energy where it matters most. Because protecting information isn't just about locking things away. It's about letting things go. It's about letting go of what you no longer need. And when your data is clean, current and compliant, your business becomes lighter, faster, more agile, and far less exposed to risk. So I hope that's been helpful. This is once again another control which sits within the technical controls. But for me, this is about process. The technicalities of this really aren't there. This is about you and your organization. This is a great example where we say that information security is not an IT issue. It is a business risk. So I hope that's been helpful. I'm Gary of Consultants Like Us, where we provide compliance without complexity. If you are confused by anything that I've talked about in here, please do reach out. I'm more than happy to help, but I do hope you found it useful. I'd love to hear your thoughts about how you've approached this particular control. Don't forget to give this a like, and please do subscribe so that you don't miss any future videos that we release in this series. And please give it a share as well, because you'll certainly be helping me. And you never know, someone else may be struggling with this particular control as well. So until next time, I wish you well, and I would just simply say stay well, stay safe, and stay connected. All the very best. Bye-bye.